Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Junior. Junior's in a hotel room. What are we going to go? Best Western? Maybe a Holiday Inn? In some random place where he's like shooting elk or some shit. It's weird though. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the window. That's the blackout curtain. What the fuck is with the glass? Did he put something over it? It's odd. Or is this one of those rooms where it's cheap because it faces the inside of the building? So you can open it, but there's no view, so they paper over it, I suppose. Because he's a billionaire and he can afford the sweet spot. This airline disaster is what happens when wokeness rules. Now, they'll do anything to attack this idea of woke because they think this is a winning thing for them. Honest to God, what the fuck does wokeness have to do with a giant snowstorm affecting Southwest flights more than others? Does anybody? All right, I don't know. We'll see. Does Junior now have a neck tattoo? No, I don't think so. I think that's just the shadow.
Well, guys, no surprise here, but state officials apparently warned Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg of this sort of pending...
Oh, he's going to read his own tweet.
...airline disaster. And I don't know about you, but I'm traveling this Christmas...
Okay, oh, sorry. Levernews.com. Hold on. Let's take a look. Apparently they warned him. He was warned. Levernews.com. State officials. That should do it. Should find the article. Sorry. Finding it. Hold on. Lever State officials warned Buttigieg about airline mess. Here you go. This is the article from The Lever. Well, David Sirota and Andrew Perez wrote this. Okay. Before the holiday nightmare, attorneys general begged the transportation secretary and Congress to crack down on what? Southwest Airlines stranding thousands of Americans during the holiday season is not some unexpected crisis, nor the normal consequences of inclement weather, and federal officials are not powerless bystanders. Before the debacle, attorneys general from both parties were sounding alarms about regulators' lax oversight of the airline industry, imploring them and congressional lawmakers to crack down. But it's got to be Pete Buttigieg's fault entirely because he's gay and used to be a mayor. The warnings came just before Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg appeared on national television insisting travel would improve by the holidays, and before Southwest executives, flush with cash from a government bailout, announced new dividend payouts to shareholders while paying themselves millions of dollars. 4 months before Southwest mass cancellation flights, 38 states' attorney general wrote to congressional leaders declaring that Buttigieg's agency, quote, failed to respond and provide appropriate recourse to thousands of consumer complaints about airlines' customer service. Okay, hold on one second. Specific, and by the way, something in the order of, I want to say, the impact of Southwest was had a 70% cancellation rate or some ridiculous number. Everybody else, the rest of the industry had somewhere between 9 and 13. So and all the other airlines got bailouts as well. So the idea that somehow this one airline failing a bunch of flyers, which, by the way, handles a lot of low-cost flights, but somehow the fact that Spirit and United and Delta and any of the other major players, or even some of the minor players, managed to deal with the inclement weather fairly well within the limits of where planes were stranded, where their crews were stranded, and the like. That we ignore. This is apparently Pete Buttigieg is on the Southwest beat, and that's all there is to it. Dear Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, Leader McConnell, and Leader McCarthy, this is the National Association of Attorneys General. As our state's chief consumer protection enforcers, we receive consumer complaints and work hard to hold accountable irresponsible actors who treat consumers deceptively or unfairly. Over the course of the COVID-19 epidemic, certain corporate actors have systematically failed to live up to their responsibilities to their customers and have caused significant frustrations and unnecessary challenges for those customers. In particular, the airline industry has failed their customers. Okay, first of all, Remember the empty flights? Remember nobody was going anywhere? The airlines themselves got bailed out because of the lack of flying that was going on. So the complaint was that during COVID, hold on. Beg your pardon. During COVID, we're supposed to, over the past couple of years, our offices have received thousands of complaints from outraged airline passengers about airline customer service, including about systematic failures to provide required credits to those who lost travel opportunities because everybody did during the pandemic. Okay, first of all, fuck off. Of course you have. And secondarily, it was a fucking pandemic that, by the way, started and had all its primary shutdown-based failures during the last administration. Remember how the Trump administration was going to be vaccinating people in Walmart parking lots out of the back of army trucks? Remember that shit? That we, by the way, now know there was no plan for? None. And by the way, if there was a plan for it, whereas, Democrats and other people would have gone, oh, good, there's a vaccine available, might have taken advantage of it, especially in rural communities. You think Republicans and all the QAnon crowd would have lined up behind an army truck in a fucking Walmart parking lot to get vaccinated, get a needle stuck in their arm? The people who believe in Jade Helm and an Agenda 21 and Bill Gates's depopulation scheme, those motherfuckers are going to stand in a Walmart parking lot and get a shot in their arm. Get out of here. And again, not that was ever planned out. It was just something they yammered about. Remember, it was also going to be like CVS's. Remember, you just roll up and you could fucking stick your arm out the window and they would just, and then you could drive away. Again, would any of these assholes actually take advantage of or use that to get vaccinated? Of course not. And the Biden administration, when they came in, had to basically start from scratch because one thing the Trump administration never did was its fucking homework. Dude couldn't even delegate well. This is the problem with, I think, essentially having a family-run business style businessman in the White House versus even, if you're going to go the businessman route, somebody who was a CEO of a publicly traded company that had to answer to a board and answer to investors. There's sort of a one-to-one experience as a CEO in that circumstance because you can be ousted by the investors through the board of directors. They can have a vote of no confidence and the board has to boot you. That is the closest thing to sort of democratic leadership especially in corporate America that exists. There's none of that in a family-run business like the Trumps. That's a generational, that is much closer, quite frankly, to a monarchy. The Trump organization is effectively run like a monarchy. Dad gave it to the son was going to give it to another one of his kids, more than likely Don Jr. or Ivanka in this particular case, but that was the structure. And that's what he's used to. And it's also how he's used to making fucking decisions. So, but here we go. Airline mess, racist highways. I don't know what the fuck.
Christmas vacation, and I'm seeing the people stranded all over the country. And again,
yes, because you have internet. Like you give a shit.
It's no surprise.
Please tell me he got stranded on a flight and he's in a hotel on the voucher as the son of an alleged billionaire. It's one thing to be like, the key to being a millionaire is to be a complete fucking cheapskate. The other thing is like, really? That's what life's going to be like if you're a billionaire? Weird.
That he was warned and that he wasn't able to do anything about it.
By the way, that he was warned about the stoppages that happened during the fucking pandemic. Not that happened when there was a giant snowstorm dumping snow all across the fucking country.
That's what happens, folks.
No, that's not what happens. By the way, they think this is woke because Pete Buttigieg is gay. Can I remind you who Donald Trump chose as his transportation secretary? The wife of Mitch McConnell.
When you hire people purely because they check off some sort of woke box, right?
Right. So that's the idea, is that Pete Buttigieg has the job because he's a gay man, not because he's articulate and smart and showed himself to be resilient and valuable during the election process. By the way, what box did Elaine Chao? I mean, obviously her family owns shipping lines. Is that the idea? Even though her family's runs transportation company was involved in cocaine trafficking, which is where Mitch McConnell got the name Cocaine Mitch. Never mind.
It's like the press secretary. Well, she's the first African-American lesbian person born in a foreign country to serve as press secretary. It's like, oh my God, you checked 3 boxes. This is wonderful. What could possibly go wrong?
She's doing fine. By the way, I don't know, and neither does he, and neither do you, how many redheads have been the press secretary. I don't think anybody's keeping track.
Competence be damned.
Well, no, I mean, obviously, competence in this particular circumstance is in the response to what happens versus the primary causation of it. The idea is that the reason Southwest was fucked up and the other airlines weren't is because Pete Buttigieg is gay and doesn't know what he's doing.
Mayor Pete! Obviously.
Look at him scrolling past the stuff. He doesn't have his normal Post-its, so he's got his script on the screen, which is closer to a teleprompter. Credit where credit is due, I suppose.
He's a gay guy.
He's a gay guy. That's how I talk about him. Isn't that how you talk about him too? You know, the gay guy. Sure.
Mayor of a small town in Indiana.
Right. You know, a flyover state. And fuck small town Indiana, right? I mean,
His constituency, and we've all seen the videos, had no idea who he was, and it wasn't exactly a success story. But he can run for president. Guys, this shouldn't surprise us, remember?
What are you talking about? Your dad's losing his business license in the very city he claimed to basically own.
Racist highways. They weren't tall enough for people to fit under it because they were built with racism or whatever the hell they were talking.
Oh, yeah. A way to keep it straight. The idea that some highways were built and split communities, basically, and kept them separated because there weren't enough bridges across them. There were no walkways, particularly that they did it on purpose. Look at the south side of LA and the like. Those were specifically done that way. And the land that they took was from the poorer communities, and compensation was lower because of it, as if someone's home is worth less just because it can't sell for more.
Talking about before, that's what this transportation.
And by the way, one of the things they're mad about is the Biden administration fixing that.
Secretary gets you. When you get a job because of only woke qualifications rather than actual qualifications.
Are you talking about the Southwest CEO or?
When that's all you have in your arsenal, maybe, just maybe, folks, things won't function smoothly. So
it won't. You're right. It probably won't function smoothly.
If you're stuck.
What was that again? Hold on. Function. What was that?
Than actual qualifications. When that's all you have in your arsenal, maybe, just maybe, folks, things won't function smoothly. So
yes, they will not. Things could be smoother.
If you're stuck.
It was not a smooth holiday season. Although quite frankly, that sounds like a Dr. Seuss book that is waiting to be written. A very smoothie Christmas.
Or you had a family member stuck or trapped, or they can't get to where they were going to be with.
Well, stuck is one thing. Trapped is another euphemism for stuck. They're not actually trapped. There are no nothing. No one was stepped in a snare in Southwest terminals.
Loved ones, or they can't get back to their jobs. Think woke.
What jobs? Excuse me. Joe Biden is running the country. There are no jobs to get back to. What family? What if they're trying to get back to Portland? There is no Portland.
Liberal.
Hashtag rip Portland.
Democrats for pushing people who have no business being in a jobs, right? Again,
No business being in a jobs.
loved ones, or they can't get back to their jobs. Thank woke liberal Democrats for pushing people who have no business being in a jobs, right?
Yes, some people have no business being in a jobs. Maybe it's because they have more than one. You shouldn't do 2 jobs at one job, so you double jobsing is bad news.
Again, you saw the racist highways. We've seen...
I've seen the racist highways. There's one of them in, I believe it's in South Carolina, where you have to go through Lynchburg to get to Whitesville. Those highway signs are awkward.
The supply chain crisis, and yet... No.
Wait, hold on, fucko. The supply chain crisis happened during your dad's administration because of COVID. Secondarily, one of the reasons we have, quote unquote, a supply chain crisis is because we're getting the fuck out of China and other places where they make things using slave labor, which would be a good thing if you actually gave a fuck about human beings.
No problem taking paternity leave for months on end. And guess what? Paternity leave, that's fine if you want to do it. I think it's wonderful personally. But maybe, just maybe...
Do you really? You think it's paternity leave? You think you're fine with it because you're a straight dude and you're like, that should be something available to, but when 2 gay men, never mind.
If you have a job that...
Do you have a job? I think that's the question. Where the fuck are you going?
350 million Americans depend on your success, depend on you showing up, depend on you getting it done. Maybe don't take the job if you know that's coming. Maybe find a replacement.
Yes, that's right. And this doubly applies to women. Women, if you know you're going to have a kid and you're going to take time off to have that kid, maybe don't take a job. You see where this is coming from? Mm-hmm.
And step down. But that's not how the woke mindset works. I'm entitled to the job. I was the mayor of a crappy town in Indiana, and therefore...
Okay, there you go. By the way, if you live in Mayor Pete's town in Indiana, because he was mayor, Junior here thinks your town is shit. But vote MAGA next time.
Or I can do whatever we want. This
is that the voice of everyone in Indiana?
The next step to the presidency. I'm a cabinet secretary for no real reason. Okay, that's what the woke.
Really? Well, and again. How did your dad pick people? Because remember hashtag the best people? Remember your dad was going to have the smartest people and then he had to fucking fire everybody? Explain Rex Tillerson to all of us.
Mindset is getting us, folks. So Mayor Pete is to blame. Liberals are to blame if you, your loved ones, friends, family, whatever, were stuck.
Have to stay in a Holiday Inn using a voucher. And you're the son of a billionaire. They're to blame.
Stranded somewhere. The incompetence is because of them. Okay, just like when
don't let the nonsense happen, and it's crazy, and don't let it happen.
The ships were piled up in front of our harbors. They couldn't figure out how to get them in.
The ships were piled up. Were they? That's arguably, I think, worse than having them backed up. They were stacked up. Were they on top of each other? Is that how it worked out? Where's that video? Shit.
Which created a supply chain crisis.
No, it didn't create the supply chain crisis, stupid. The supply chain itself went through areas that were closed because of COVID. Entire factories shut down. You know one of the reasons why we had ships backed up here? It's because America was one of the only countries that had any fucking money.
When millions upon millions or hundreds of millions of Americans depend on you to show up, be qualified.
Are you talking to your dad now? Because I don't think he's listening. Because he's definitely not taking this advice.
The worst thing you could do if people are counting on you and you gotta be golfing all the time.
Show up. Do the job.
Yeah, don't golf all the goddamn time.
Don't just put in woke people to check a box and pretend that all is well, because it's not.
It's not terrible. Don't just put a late chow in there and just call it a day because you did a favor to Mitch McConnell. No.
It doesn't end well, as we're all seeing right now. But of course, me and maybe 3 other people with guts will actually say it. The
Guts. Guts? You're just being a bigoted dickhead. Where's the guts in that? It's a 3-minute, 23-second video. This is the number we've seen before. I wonder if he finishes a sentence. I can't wait. What do you guys think the chances are? I think it's 50-50 that it just ends.
The rest will cover for him, pretend like nothing's happening, and that he's doing a great job. Enough is enough, folks.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Oops, sorry. I'm Steve Doocy. That's just done. Hold on. Notice how Rumble is full of... This is the overlap. By the way, please tell me that this motherfucker flew Southwest and had to sleep in a Best Western with a voucher because his dad has cut him off. And the only way we know is his Rumble videos are for Coke money. So what if he just prints one of these and then somebody fills an EBT card for him so that he can use it at the vending machines in the hotel? His father has guts overhanging his belt. Come on. Again, the idea that somehow that we didn't have a problem last year. Pete Buttigieg was transportation secretary last year, right? As things were starting back up, by the way. And obviously the Southwest thing is an outlier to everything else. Let's see. Let's see. News. There you go. Maybe. Here you go. Let's take a look at this. Why is Southwest Airlines having a bigger meltdown than other American carriers? Now, if Pete Buttigieg is the incompetent gay overlord of our airlines, then why did he only fuck up Southwest and the other ones are doing okay? The budget carrier has canceled more than 3,900 flights and counting as the chaos continues each day. Here you go. For most of last week, Simply Flying covered how flying during the past Christmas season proved chaotic as airlines flew on the edge of their limits amidst historic winter troubles. Historic winter troubles. As the holiday season drifted, the chaos seemed to have primarily calmed down as airlines adjusted themselves to the demand and weather. Unfortunately, the same could not be said for Southwest Airlines. Over the past few days, the low-cost carrier has struggled to keep its fleet flying and transporting passengers to their anticipated destinations. Trouble for Southwest Airlines began to fully occur on Boxing Day, when the budget carrier canceled nearly 3,000 flights, which was approximately 70%, you're welcome, of its total flights nationwide, and accounted for more than 50% of all canceled flights worldwide for that day alone. There's David Cross, MBA, saying, customer service, non-existent. Flying planes, nope. Are you even an airline anymore? My 5th flight cancellation for the last 4 days. Help me get home. Expenses for canceled flights. Piling up. Hotel, food, Uber back and forth at the airport. Need to reimburse. This is and the day's flight cancellations were just the tip of the iceberg, along with flight delays, misplaced luggage, strewn about the airports, and the ability to rebook most of its stranded passengers. The earlier time passengers that can expect to be rebooked, the earlier time? I think they meant earliest. The earliest time passengers can expect to be rebooked is December 31st. But passengers are still skeptical about whether or not they will get their awaited flight out. However, the issues carried on to Tuesday and Wednesday are forecasted only to calm down next week at the earliest. More than 3,900 flights canceled in total, and the number of frustrated, stranded passengers continued to rise. How did Southwest Airlines find itself still caught flying in a storm when other U.S. airlines have other U.S. airlines have relatively flown through? A meltdown waiting to happen. While it's true that holiday troubles relatively began when the winter storm Elliott battered most of the U.S. last week, the harsh storm, see if I can move this up and down without the harsh storm seemed to have unlocked unlocked quite several issues. All right, You need somebody at Simply Flying needs to do some checking. I think they're using ChatGPT. That's what I think. That are currently causing the meltdown to pass in the next few days. Sorry, there we go. Thin ice cracked slightly before Christmas Day when the airline declared a state of operational emergency at Denver on December 21st. Allegedly, the airline was receiving what it deemed was an unusually high number of absences due to Denver ramp agents calling in sick for reported personal absences. Also within the declared emergency was Southwest Airlines threatening to terminate ramp agents who would continue calling in sick. And if they are going to call in sick, a doctor's letter and medical certificate had to be provided immediately as proof or risk of termination. Applications for reported personal absences submitted within 12 hours would also be rejected. The threat of termination angered Denver ramp agents, and approximately 120 eventually walked off the job. As a result, Southwest Airlines operations at Denver International Airport became highly overwhelmed without enough ramp employees. Now, I don't know why, probably because he's gay and a mayor from Indiana. He couldn't see that for some reason Southwest would pick a flight with their fucking Denver ramp agents and that they would all walk off because they were being told that if you tell us you're sick less than 12 hours ahead of time, or personal absence, I think was what they were doing, then you're going to lose your job, and they all walked out of there. Here you go. Guys, this is why Denver canceled so many. They got this letter, and 120 agents walked out. That affected, 120 ramp agents. How many agents are at any given flight when you get on one? 2? Maybe 3? Right? So that's got to be everybody who processes flights in Denver from Southwest. That's got to be all of them, right? And besides a shortage, I ran besides and shortage together and made a new word. It's okay. Of ramp agents, the low-cost carrier wasn't having sufficient flight and cabin crew to operate its flight schedules. It already had a problem. Anyways, the mounting, which is where they got the frustration about if we're going to lose ramp agents, fuck's sake, right? The mounting flight cancellations and delays resulted in several crew members reaching their operating limits, but surely Southwest would have scheduling software to solve such issues. The budget carrier does, except the outdated software is contributing to the problem instead of helping. Instead of adequately reassigning the crews to other flights during the chaos, several employees struggled to even get through crew scheduling services. This left many crew members unable to get reassignments or adjust their schedules accordingly, affecting their operating limit and rest requirements. So let's say you could go on another flight because you had, you've not reached your limit on how much you can fly in a particular day. You had another 6-hour credit and you could have gotten another 4-hour, 2-hour, 3-hour flight in before sleeping again. But for whatever, you were trying to fill out your availability, it wasn't showing up. Or it would take so long to show up that it put you outside your window. And that's why they kept waiting on crew. Now, we're going to find out at some point that Southwest Airlines was more than likely hacked during this time. I wouldn't rule it out as a possibility, and that somebody was actively fucking with their software because it was old and easy to break into. And that will, once we go into the sort of the congressional hearings about this, and there will be, because what are the Republicans going to do? Legislate? Get the fuck out of here. They're going to do a review of what happened, and part of what's going to come up is that they had a DDoS attack on the scheduling software, and somebody fucked with them. That's very reasonable that could have happened, especially around this time. Especially around an air. This is the kind of stuff the Russians do all the time. This is the kind of stuff that ransomware actors do all the time. And when it comes out, that this will deflate the whole fucking thing. They'll just blow off that aspect of it. Yes, it's a great softball solve. The ultimate snowball effect. Yes, during a horrible winter storm. Yeah, there you go. Casey Murray, president of the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association, expressed his disappointment in the lack of effort from the airline to upgrade its software by commenting, SWAPA, which is a great name for a piece of software that changes your scheduling. SWAPA has provided unlimited data over the past several years to provide solutions, so I want to frame this differently. We all know that Southwest Airlines has buried its head in the sand regarding its operational process processes and IT. And even though irrefutable analytics and data have been provided by us again and again, pride in their outdated processes and technology continues to drive the management. So there you go. That's why. Internal problems at Southwest, all ganged up on them at one point, caught and a cascading effect, stacked shit together, starting in Denver, which of course we know at this particular point is where the Illuminati goes below the earth. If you go to the Denver airport and you go down the tunnel next to the big mural, it'll take you into the adrenochrome facilities. All of it operated by the executives at South West Airlines. And where is Area 51 in America? It's in the Southwest. Accident? I don't think so. So, needless to say, this fucknut wants to blame the outdated IT and SWAPA software that Southwest has been using and not investing in their buying planes instead of fixing this one particular part because they don't think it's that big a deal until they create a cascading effect by firing all their ramp agents in one fell swoop because it forced them to walk off the job by being dicks. That this asshole thinks that problem, that constant issue that was growing inside Southwest Airlines is because Pete Buttigieg is gay. And I would like to remind you that the reason this dipshit thinks that is because this is the level of shallow thinking that passes for intellect in Trump world. These people are thinking in the shallow end of the pool because they've had successes their entire life without ever having to go any further because Trump's father provided them with billions of dollars. Hi, yes?
Some YouTube show just started blaring on the TV speaker upstairs.
Oh.
Like how is your iPad down here? Is it?
It is, but it's not on. Hi, Murph.
Upstairs and all of a sudden this really loud YouTube channel came over my football game.
Clearly something spooky is happening.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing's running on mine.
Well, it's definitely one of your YouTube things, and I can't get it to turn on. It's coming through the bar.
Huh.
And I can't turn the bar off.
If you turn the TV off and back on?
Did.
Yeah?
It was playing when the TV was off.
Weird.
It's okay. Don't worry. I just can't turn it off.
We have ghost
and I just thought since
audio.
that came on by itself earlier.
Right. Hold on.
I don't know where it came from.
That's really weird.
And I can't even turn it off. Like, it's
okay. Well, yeah.
I'll figure something out.
Okay. All right. I've automated our house so much that sometimes it has a mind of its own. I've created a Siri monster. Clearly, it's the orbs. Yeah, I blame the orbs. Meanwhile, what I primarily wanted to address is that you have to take that into account whenever you hear this asshole or his dad talking at any given point, because they have never had to think past rung one of the ladder. There's always been an elevator open to them. They have never had to do any actual climbing, never had to do any actual work. The vast majority of the work and the skill set that the Trumps in particular, and the folks that I think view them as a success, has been in two arenas. One is, morally destitute legal wranglings where you hire lawyers and just learn to lie in depositions. And then I guess it's bullshitting in public. So basically bullshitting in legal depositions and bullshitting to Forbes and in the news and stuff. It's all been about mask wearing. These people, the Trumps in particular, but a lot of people like them. And I'm sure that the Santoses of the world, which clamor to be like and to the Trumps, view this as a skill set. They actually think that this is a valuable ability to have. But this is effectively when you can bullshit your way past so many, over so many hills, you never develop the ability to climb them or walk them yourself. And so, of course, he's going to look at this issue, and it took us, 12 seconds to find an article that explained the material problem that Southwest ran into, the fact that their pilots and the ramp, attendees in Denver airport all walked off at the same time, starting a cascading effect across all of this, which led to the snowball effect that caused the problem that they are currently in. And by the time the Southwest executives get pulled in front of the fucking Congress, they're going to have invested $5 million in a new IT system, which is a drop in the fucking bucket, but it'll look like they're spending some real money, and they'll have refunded, 500,000 people's flights or given them credits for other flights at some point, and start handing out fucking 2 packets of peanuts to everybody, and they'll be back in good graces by the spring, by spring break in particular, when they will be back fully in business as far as anybody else is concerned. But the crucial part of this entire endeavor is looking at just how little effort it takes to hit bottom on the intellectual capacity of people like Don Jr. Just a magnificent example of a dum-dum. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, by the way. And I'm glad we could I think we learned a little bit in that a lot of us may not have known the kind of deeper story of what was going on in terms of the Southwest story. And now we know. Hey, congrats. You know there were 3 levels of problems that all hit at the same time. So there you go. Southwest liable for negligent infrastructure. Arguably, yes. And they'll refund passengers, and then they will give them a little extra credit on a flight coming up. And that will buy them a step in the right direction. So, any live streams from the airport? Surely how they handle this frustration and thwarting dreams will be example to the world. Are they eating each other yet? Not quite. I mean, they're handing out a lot of hotel vouchers, and the hotels themselves and the restaurants in the area aren't complaining much. A lot of people, though, interestingly enough, Southwest and other airlines, when they do run into problems like this, count on people not asking, and certainly not asking twice. They just, because they want to get where they're going, they just sleep in the airport and don't ask for what they deserve, which is a hotel voucher and a meal. And I would like to say to you, all of my viewers right now, if you're ever in a situation where they have punted and they say you can't get out till tomorrow or whatever, don't wait another second to go, I'm going to need a hotel voucher and a meal voucher then. Because the minute they start making a list, it'll take some time, and they'll add you to the list right then. If they don't just hand them to you because or they'll go, yeah, they're coming with them in a little bit. And you're like, okay, cool. I'll just wait. Don't be a dick to them because it's not their fault. It's not the gate agent's problem. It's not their fault that this is happening. But never be afraid to ask for those kind of vouchers, because it doesn't cost the person you're talking to anything. You're not asking them for a favor. You're not asking them to put themselves over a barrel in a way that their boss will go, well, if I hand out these vouchers, I'm going to get docked a day's pay. Doesn't work that way at all. It's not their problem. It's none of their limitations, and they're happy to do it most of the time. So go. Oh, Philly Dana says hello and miss you. Oh, right on. Hi. So, specifically, just you guys, anybody watching this right now, bless your heart. If you're ever in a situation where you're being kept overnight, or you've got a flight it's ass in the morning and you're not going to get out, we can get you on the 6 a.m. or the 9 a.m. Get the 9 a.m., get a voucher, get the free breakfast at the hotel, take it easy on yourself. Travel is stressful enough. Feel free to pad it unless you desperately have to get someplace. And then if you have to go planes, trains, and automobiles, knock yourself the fuck out. But I'm saying you now have permission. I, as a human being, am giving you permission, if you ever think you needed it, to, when you're in this situation, go, I'm going to need a voucher for sleep and food. Because they will give it to you, and it's better to get it. Just go. Just get it and move on. Go, yeah, I'm not getting out till tomorrow. No, there's nothing going to happen. Okay, cool. Can I get a voucher right now? And I'll just piss off and you won't have to worry about me. Right? I want a voucher-ish. Right. So there you go.